This is Corporate Radar. On to an exclusive conversation now. Maruti is on our radar today. The stock is buzzing. It's at a 52-week high. The stock has also had a big rally this year. Shashank Srivastava, the Senior Executive Officer, Marketing and Sales at Maruti Suzuki, joins us now. Shashank, thanks a lot for joining us. First, if we can just, set the tone with some indication of how the demand trends are panning out this festive season.
Yes, so the demand trends are actually quite positive. So, as you know, the festive season begins in India from the 17th of August in Kerala. That's the Chingam month there. The Onam was on the 29th of August. And there we saw an uptick of almost 24% in retail. That's a really positive beginning. That sets some sort of an indication for the other months of the festive season. So right now we have the Ganesh Chaturthi and the Janmashtami festival going on, and we have seen an uptick of almost 8% there. So overall things looks positive. September, again, 5% up in inquiries, retails up 36%, and therefore looks like quite positive season this year as well.
Okay, so you said there is an uptick of 8% in retail sales in Ganesh Chaturthi and Janmashtami so far, and you saw 24% uptick in retail sales during the Onam season. So what does this mean for overall monthly sales? Because in August, you outperformed the industry with the wholesales going up about 15%. You're sitting on a base of around 1.9 lakh units. Is that a sustainable trend in September and October?
I think volumes, I can't comment individually on Maruti Suzuki, but I think industry volume should be roughly similar to what you saw in August. That's around 360,000. Last year, of course, September was the peak month, the highest ever in the history of Indian auto industry. That was 355,000. So we can expect a very large volume this month as well. I think this should be the highest ever monthly sale in the Indian auto industry in September on a wholesale basis. But on the growth front, you will still find just about a 1.5 or 1.5 to 1.7% growth because of the high base. So absolute volume will be great, but in terms of growth, maybe it will be a little tempered down.
So you're saying expect the highest ever monthly sales in September in the Indian auto industry. This is particularly for Maruti, right? The overall wholesale sales is what you're talking about.
Yes, overall industry, I'm saying.
Can you break it down for us and what's happening with the small car segment? Because, year to date, if you look at it, the mini and the compact car segment has seen a fall of almost 9%. Is there any recovery in that pocket at all?
At the moment, I haven't seen that recovery. So the indicators still are that the small car segment would be roughly 31% of the overall industry. Last year it was 34%. Our projections for this year, full year, financial year, is also that it should be roughly around that 31%. So it is under a little bit of stress. On the other hand, SUVs obviously are doing very well, and they are now almost 47% of the overall market.
So you're saying there is no recovery yet in the small car segment, which is the mini and compact car segment, and there is still a lot of stress there. But in terms of numbers, I think, 4.12 lakh units is how much you sold year to date. So by the end of the year, what would the fall be? If you look at just the mini car segment, it's been in excess of 30% the fall year to date. So what are we looking at by the end of the year in this space? And when do you see the recovery come through?
Yeah, so part of the decline that you just mentioned, obviously, is because on the base side, we had the Alto 800, which is no longer there. Alto 800 used to sell about 11,000 vehicles a month, and that has suddenly disappeared. So some of the figure might be a little misleading, the negatives. And obviously, later on, the base of Alto 800 will not be present, especially the second half of last year, it wasn't there. So you would see in terms of the absolute, in terms of the volumes going down, in percentage terms, may actually not be as high as what you saw in H1.
Okay, got that. I had a couple of more very quick questions. This year, Maruti has gained market share despite the kind of stress that we've seen in the lower end of the market, right? So that is commendable. So I'm guessing as and when the lower end picks up, the market share will improve further. But can you give us the numbers right now? What is the SUV market share as of September end? And are you on track to meet that 25% target that you had laid out by the end of FY24?
Yes, yes. We look like we are on track. In fact, we were the #1 SUV makers in July and in August as well. In August, on the cumulative basis, also we became #1. We were #4 last year. So one of the clear objectives which we had stated at the beginning of the year was to be #1 SUV makers in the country, and we have become in a short time. In fact, in July and now August as well, and hopefully in September also. So we are on track for that. Our market share in August was around 24%, 23.6% in the SUV space. So we are also on track to achieve that objective of 25%, which looked really heavy. But then some of our new SUVs done really well. The Vitara, the Fronx, Jimny, they have done quite well. And therefore, with the increased production levels also, I think we are very well on track to meet our objectives in the SUV space.
Okay, so you're on track to meet the 25% SUV market share target by the end of FY24. You're already at 23.6% as of the month of August, got that. You know, SIAM had projected that the passenger vehicle industry will grow 5 to 7% in FY24. But given the kind of improvement in trends that you're seeing, do you think that the industry could outperform SIAM's projections? And what are your own targets?
Yeah, so actually I was part of that SIAM, panel which predicted 5 to 7% growth at the beginning of the year. And we had looked at all parameters and said that it would be around the 4.1 million mark will be the industry sale overall against the 3.89 million that we saw last year. And we have, I think the H1 results so far show that we are on track for that. I don't expect growths to be exceeding these numbers because, the base effect really will kick in from this month. In fact, despite all the pluses that we have just spoken about, by the end of September, that is H1 of financial year, I would expect industry growth to be around the 6.7, 6.8% mark already. So, and going forward to keep maintaining that growth on a high base will be tough. But I think we will stick by the original projection of 5 to 7% growth.
Okay, just one final question, because EVs are the flavor and, the whole industry is sort of booming with new launches in the EV space. I understand that you have your target on track. By FY25, you plan to launch the EV. But what's the update over there? Earlier, you had also said that by FY31, you expect to have 6 EV models that would contribute 15 to 20% to your total sales. Are you on track to doing that?
Yes, absolutely. So you're absolutely right, Sonia. Our projection is that the industry will be 17% EVs by 2030. And in our powertrains, 15% will be EVs. We will be having 6 EVs in different sectors, first of which we will be launching in the mid-SUV space next year. And preparations are on because it requires a lot building up of an ecosystem. So it's a little different from what other manufacturers have been doing, just launching vehicles. But we are looking at the entire ecosystem, including how not to inconvenience our consumers as far as charging infrastructure is concerned, or also because we expect a lot of queries being a new technology regarding the EV. So we are preparing to the entire ecosystem, and not just a vehicle to be launched.
All right, Mr. Srivastava, thanks so much for stopping by and filling us in with a quick update. Wishing you all the best, particularly ahead of the festive season. Well, let's move on then. Structural